The Empire thought humans were weak and insignificant, but they were about to discover a force no one could ignore. Humans quietly built massive ships, fleets so powerful that even the most experienced commanders trembled. As rumors spread across the galaxy, whispers turned into fear. This young species was not only advancing, but emerging as a new power that could challenge centuries of galactic dominance. Every move they made showed intelligence, strategy, and ambition beyond imagination. And the empires that underestimated them were already paying the price. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and join the journey through the galaxy. Whispers began circulating through the vast halls of the Galactic Council, a place where species from hundreds of star systems gathered to discuss trade, politics, and security. The topic that caused more stir than any debate in decades was about humans, a relatively young species whose homeworld had long been considered insignificant. According to intercepted communications and scattered scout reports, humans were quietly building ships unlike anything seen before. Gigantic vessels that dwarfed the largest cruisers of the Council fleets, and there was talk that entire planets were being mobilized for this effort. The rumors reached the ears of alien delegates in different ways, some through intelligence networks, others through observation of strange energy patterns near human systems. At first, many dismissed the news as exaggeration. After all, humans were known for their stubbornness and rapid adaptation. But their technology had never been considered a threat on a galactic scale. Yet, every new report seemed to confirm the same unsettling story. Each scout returning from the edges of human space spoke of massive shipyards, enormous factories, and fleets under construction. In the council chambers, species that had long held dominance began exchanging uneasy glances. The veteran commanders and politicians, who had spent centuries confident in their superiority, suddenly found themselves questioning what they knew about the universe. The reports were inconsistent in details, but consistent in one terrifying fact. Humans were building something enormous, something that could change the balance of power. Galactic communications networks buzzed with speculation, every transmission analyzed and reanalyzed. Some envoys claimed to detect energy signatures inconsistent with known technologies. Massive surges of power that suggested construction on an unprecedented scale. They spoke of materials being transported at speeds that challenged the imagination, and automated assembly lines that could rival the efficiency of entire fleets of drones. Among the younger, more ambitious delegates, there was excitement, almost like curiosity mixed with fear. They began proposing theories about humans' purpose. Were they preparing for war, or simply advancing their civilization at a pace no one had anticipated? Military leaders, however, leaned toward caution, advising surveillance and covert observation, while diplomats debated whether to open contact before the humans became too powerful. In quiet corridors and private chambers, whispers turned into tense conversations. Some older species recalled ancient conflicts in which underestimated civilizations had suddenly risen and toppled empires. The Council had witnessed surprises before, but humans were different. There was an unpredictable quality to their progress, a sense that they were not bound by conventional thinking or old galactic traditions. Scouts who returned from human space painted vivid pictures, describing massive orbital shipyards, construction domes stretching for hundreds of kilometers, and fleets of drones moving in perfect synchronization. No other species had been able to replicate such speed and coordination, even with centuries of technology. Every account added layers to the growing fear. Some described humans working calmly, almost nonchalantly, in the face of scrutiny, as if they knew the Council was watching and were deliberately demonstrating their capabilities. By the time the Council formally convened to discuss these reports, fear had already taken root. Leaders debated whether to send envoys, spies, or even small strike teams to investigate. But there was a strange hesitation, because no one truly knew what humans were capable of, and the sheer scale of the reported shipbuilding made many hesitant to act rashly. What had started as mere rumors had become a topic of urgency and dread, stirring questions about the future of galactic order. Every day, new information arrived, often contradictory yet strangely consistent in suggesting a hidden, massive human project. The galaxy that once considered humans harmless began to realize that something monumental was unfolding. And for the first time, even the most powerful empires felt a twinge of anxiety at the thought of what humans might become. The rumor was no longer just a story. It was the beginning of a shift that could reshape everything. Humans, meanwhile, seemed oblivious to the stir they were causing, quietly working in their star systems, unaware that their reputation as builders and innovators had already begun to spread through the halls of power. The seeds of a new era were being planted, and those who dismissed the warnings too soon might find themselves unprepared for the force quietly emerging from the human worlds. A scout vessel from the Central Empire approached the human colony with cautious curiosity, expecting nothing more than small shipyards and modest fleets. What it found instead stunned every officer on board. Massive construction platforms floated in orbit, stretching for hundreds of kilometers, each one bristling with cranes, energy beams, and ships in various stages of assembly. The sheer scale of the operation was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. And the human engineers worked with a precision that seemed almost mechanical, yet alive with creativity. The vessel's sensors struggled to catalog the enormous ships under construction. Some were enormous carriers capable of holding thousands of smaller crafts, while others were sleek warships equipped with weapon systems that the Empire had never encountered. The factories themselves were marvels, powered by energy sources that outmatched entire star systems. The scout crew realized that humans had not only built large ships before, they had redefined what large meant. As they drew closer, the aliens could see humans moving across the platforms, operating machinery with calm efficiency. They coordinated without obvious command structures, yet every movement contributed to the larger project. The humans used drones, robotic arms, and even automated transport systems that carried massive components across the shipyards. Everything functioned perfectly, like a living organism where every part knew its purpose. The Empire's officers were bewildered, taking detailed notes and trying to process the information. They had never seen technology combined with such organization. Every ship seemed designed with a deep understanding of balance, speed, and defense. Yet, there was no unnecessary complexity. It was as if humans had discovered the perfect formula for shipbuilding and were applying it on a planetary scale. Communication attempts with human operators initially went unanswered, adding to the mystery. When contact was finally established, the humans responded with clear, concise messages, explaining their work without arrogance, as if the Empire's presence was a routine observation rather than a threat. They spoke about efficiency, resource management, and future plans in ways that made even experienced diplomats uneasy, because there was an underlying confidence, a quiet assurance that humans could achieve whatever they set out to do. The scout crew observed entire sections of space filled with construction scaffolds, where enormous ships were assembled like puzzle pieces. Each component fit perfectly with others, and energy beams held massive hulls in place while robotic welders fused them together in seconds. It was a symphony of technology, precision, and vision, and the aliens realized that humans were not only building ships, they were creating a fleet capable of dominating entire sectors if necessary. Officers debated what to report back. Their superiors would struggle to believe the scale and sophistication of the operation. They feared that underestimating humans could have catastrophic consequences. Every observation suggested humans had advanced far beyond their reputation, and the Empire had no clear measure to predict what might come next. Some scouts suggested immediate action, perhaps sabotage or a demonstration of force, but others warned against provoking humans without understanding their full capabilities. The human shipyards seemed peaceful, yet every measure was designed for speed, defense, and adaptability. There was an elegance to their construction, a sense that humans had thought of every contingency. As the vessel continued to hover at a safe distance, the aliens noticed signs of long-term planning. Massive energy grids, fuel depots, and storage systems that indicated a fleet capable of sustained operations across vast distances. Humans were not simply building warships. They were creating infrastructure that would allow them to project power anywhere. Their ambition was not reckless. It was calculated, deliberate, and unstoppable in its efficiency. When the scout vessel finally retreated to report its findings, the crew felt a mix of awe and fear. They had witnessed the birth of something unprecedented, a fleet that could alter galactic balance. The humans remained focused on their work, unaware or unconcerned that the Empire was watching. Yet, in that calm determination lay the true danger. The galaxy had underestimated humans for too long, and now the Empire realized that the time for caution had arrived. Every detail recorded by the scouts painted a picture of a species ready to step onto the galactic stage, not as learners or minor players, but as innovators, builders, and strategists whose presence could no longer be ignored. The sheer audacity and scale of their shipbuilding left the Empire with a single undeniable truth. Humanity had emerged as a new force, capable of challenging centuries of galactic dominance, and there was no turning back from the reality they had just witnessed. Empire scientists spent countless hours analyzing the data sent back by scouts who had observed human shipyards. Their initial curiosity soon turned into concern because every new calculation revealed technological details that defied the Empire's understanding. Conventional models could not explain the humans' propulsion systems, which allowed ships to maneuver at speeds previously thought impossible for vessels of their size. Shielding technology, too, seemed to operate on principles that combined energy manipulation with structural reinforcement in ways that made attacks from standard weapons almost ineffective. Mathematical models struggled to replicate human engineering, yet the results consistently showed superior efficiency. Humans had created modular ships that could be reconfigured for multiple purposes, from cargo transport to heavy assault, without the need for extensive refitting. Empire scientists could not ignore the precision with which every component fit into the larger design. Each ship was a masterpiece of balance, power, and adaptability, and it became clear that humans thought about warfare and space travel in entirely new ways. Engineers and military analysts convened urgent meetings, poring over schematics and telemetry. They debated whether humans had discovered a new form of energy or an advanced computational system guiding construction. The more they examined, the more they realized that humans had optimized every step of shipbuilding, reducing waste, improving speed, and increasing resilience far beyond any known galactic standard. Some proposed that humans were using artificial intelligence in ways the Empire had never tried, combining human intuition with machine precision to achieve results that were both creative and flawless. The implications were staggering. If even a fraction of the observed fleet were deployed, the Empire's current forces would struggle to match them. Military advisors began drafting contingency plans, yet every scenario seemed to favor the humans. Not only were their ships powerful, but they could be produced quickly, repaired rapidly, and adapted to changing circumstances with unprecedented speed. Every new calculation showed that humans were not merely expanding their fleet. They were redefining the concept of naval power in space. Discussion spread beyond the scientific community, reaching the Empire's highest councils. Leaders were unaccustomed to uncertainty, yet human technology introduced a level of unpredictability that unsettled even the most experienced strategists. Reports described ships capable of independent action, guided by systems that anticipated threats and adapted defenses instantly. Standard countermeasures, they realized, would be insufficient, and even a small fleet of humans could outmaneuver larger imperial forces. The more scientists studied human propulsion, the more they discovered innovations that combined speed, efficiency, and stealth. Ships could move across star systems faster than predicted, yet consume less energy than previously thought possible. Shields could absorb attacks while simultaneously distributing energy to propulsion and weapons, making ships nearly self-sufficient in combat. Each revelation made it harder for Empire officials to feel confident in their superiority. Empire engineers also examined weapon systems, noting modular arrays that could be swapped or upgraded without dockyard delays. Human ships were capable of adapting to multiple combat scenarios on the fly. One moment they could defend themselves with impenetrable shields. The next they could launch devastating attacks that destroyed entire fleets. Every simulation conducted by the Empire ended with humans holding a decisive advantage, and the fear began to grow that ignoring them could be catastrophic. Some analysts argued that humans' ingenuity was not just technical but strategic. Their designs anticipated the Empire's tactics, suggesting a level of foresight and planning that was deeply unsettling. Unlike other species, humans combined creativity, experimentation, and practical engineering seamlessly, creating systems that were both unpredictable and highly effective. The Empire realized that traditional methods of surveillance and intimidation might not work because humans were always several steps ahead in both design and execution. After weeks of study, the conclusion became unavoidable. The humans were not just building ships, they were building a new standard of power, one that could challenge centuries of galactic dominance. Scholars, engineers, and military leaders alike found themselves revising old doctrines, acknowledging that humans had introduced concepts the Empire had never considered. The combination of modular design, superior propulsion, advanced shielding, and adaptable weapons made human fleets a threat unlike any other, and every report sent a clear warning: underestimating them could be fatal. By the end of the analysis, fear had settled among the Empire's top officials. The humans' shipbuilding was not merely impressive, it was revolutionary. Every calculation reinforced the reality that the galaxy's balance of power was about to shift, and those who ignored the humans' capabilities would soon face consequences they were not prepared for. The Empire's confidence, built over centuries, began to crumble as the evidence showed that humans were ready to emerge as a force the galaxy had never seen. A diplomatic envoy was dispatched from the Empire to the human systems, its mission simple in theory: assess the humans' intentions and report back. The delegates expected to encounter a primitive species, perhaps eager to submit or explain themselves under the Empire's authority. Instead, they were greeted by humans who carried themselves with calm confidence. Their cities, spaceports, and shipyards were orderly, yet bustling with energy. Every individual seemed purposeful, working efficiently while communicating clearly with others. The humans welcomed the delegates politely, offering information without hesitation or pride. They answered questions about ship production, resource management, and expansion plans with surprising clarity. The envoy quickly realized that these humans were not like any species they had met before. They were pragmatic, innovative, and completely unafraid of the Empire's presence. Their words suggested an awareness of the Empire's interest, yet no one seemed intimidated or defensive. During the discussions, humans explained their approach to technology and growth. Their reasoning was simple yet effective. They sought to expand peacefully, explore the galaxy, and build infrastructure for trade and communication. However, they were not naive, and they made it clear that if anyone threatened them, they would respond with overwhelming force. The humans' confidence was not arrogance. It was a quiet certainty born from their achievements. The Empire delegates observed humans handling complex negotiations internally, balancing priorities without confusion. Every decision reflected strategy, foresight, and adaptability. The humans' problem-solving skills impressed the diplomats, who began to understand that the humans were capable not only of advanced engineering, but also of leadership and coordination on a massive scale. As the envoys toured the human shipyards, they witnessed massive vessels being constructed with incredible speed. Automated systems moved enormous components into place, while human engineers monitored every detail, making adjustments in real time. The humans explained the purpose of each class of ship, demonstrating how their fleet could serve multiple functions simultaneously. From transport and defense to long-range exploration, the ships were versatile and efficient. The humans also revealed their training programs, showing crews learning advanced tactics and operations simultaneously with ship construction. Delegates noticed that the humans valued adaptability, teaching their people to make decisions on the spot rather than waiting for orders. This flexibility extended to leadership, as humans appeared to trust individual judgment within a broader strategy, a method unfamiliar to the rigid hierarchies of the Empire. During formal discussions, the humans made a point to clarify their stance on galactic politics. They had no desire to dominate other species, yet they would protect their interests and their people without hesitation. This statement unsettled the envoy, who had expected fear or submission. Instead, humans were confident in their abilities and unyielding in principle. Their calm certainty conveyed a subtle message: the galaxy would need to recognize their power, whether it liked it or not. The delegates reported back to the Empire, emphasizing both the humans' technological achievements and their strategic mindset. Their analysis concluded that humans were not merely expanding. They were establishing a foundation that could allow them to influence the galaxy significantly. The Empire realized that diplomacy with humans would require respect, intelligence, and careful planning, because these humans were capable of both cooperation and defense at levels previously unimagined. Throughout the visit, the humans displayed a combination of logic, creativity, and caution, making it difficult for the delegates to predict their next moves. The humans seemed capable of extraordinary innovation, yet grounded in practical reality. Every observation suggested that they could rapidly adapt to challenges, exploit opportunities, and defend themselves efficiently. The envoy left with a mix of admiration and concern, recognizing that the humans were no longer a minor species. They were emerging as a force the Empire could not ignore. By the time the diplomatic mission concluded, the Empire had a new understanding of humanity. They were a species that combined intelligence, ingenuity, and courage in ways that could not be underestimated. The humans' ability to build vast fleets, organize resources, and negotiate strategically created an impression that this civilization was prepared to claim a significant role in galactic affairs, and the envoy returned with the undeniable truth. The humans were ready to stand as equals, if not challengers, to the oldest powers in the galaxy. The Empire decided to test the human strength secretly, launching a small probe attack on a fleet operating in a remote sector. The mission was intended as a demonstration of power, a warning to show that the Empire would not tolerate unchecked growth. Scouts and battle drones approached the human vessels cautiously, expecting minimal resistance, yet what they encountered was far beyond anything they had anticipated. Humans responded immediately, but not with panic or fear. Instead, their fleet moved with precision, positioning ships in formations that maximized both defense and offense. Shields activated instantly, absorbing energy blasts while redistributing power to weapons and propulsion. The Empire's probe units found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn, unable to land a single effective strike. Observers from the Empire watched in disbelief as human ships adapted to every tactic the probe attack tried. Each maneuver seemed anticipated and countered seamlessly. The humans' ability to coordinate without apparent centralized command surprised even the most experienced strategists. Every ship acted intelligently, making decisions based on the evolving battle scenario rather than following fixed orders. The probe drones were disabled systematically, some captured, others destroyed, yet no human vessels suffered casualties. Their response was efficient, calculated, and almost flawless. Empire analysts were forced to admit that the humans' technology alone was not the only advantage. Their tactical thinking, adaptability, and rapid decision-making played an equally crucial role. As the engagement continued, the humans demonstrated weapon systems the Empire had never seen, capable of precise, controlled strikes that neutralized threats without unnecessary destruction. They combined this with evasive maneuvers that made it nearly impossible for enemy fire to land. The small attack intended to intimidate humans instead revealed their readiness for far larger conflicts, and the Empire realized that underestimating them could be disastrous. After the encounter, the humans returned to their operations as if nothing had happened, repairing minor damage in minutes and continuing construction with the same calm determination. This composure further unsettled the Empire's observers, who had expected fear, hesitation, or aggression in response. Instead, humans displayed a confidence that came from knowledge and preparation rather than arrogance. Empire commanders convened urgent meetings to discuss the results. They reviewed every aspect of the probe attack, analyzing human responses, ship formations, weapon efficiency, and strategic choices. The conclusion was unanimous and alarming. Humans were prepared for attacks far beyond the scale of the test. Their ability to anticipate threats, adapt quickly, and execute flawlessly left no doubt that a larger engagement would likely end in humans' favor. The scientists and engineers added to the concern, explaining how human ships' modular design allowed rapid repair and reconfiguration. Even if the Empire launched a more extensive attack, humans could adapt their ships for defense or counterattack faster than conventional fleets could respond. The combination of superior technology and tactical intelligence made them formidable opponents, not just in defense but in any potential conflict. Meanwhile, Diplomats and strategists began to reassess their approach to humanity, recognizing that the previous assumption that humans could be controlled or coerced was no longer valid. Humans were confident, capable, and aware of their abilities, but they were not reckless. Their power came with strategy, foresight, and careful planning, which made them a species that could not be ignored or underestimated. Reports from the probe attack circulated throughout the Empire, sparking debates among military councils and political leaders. Some urged immediate negotiation and diplomacy, while others feared provoking humans further. The consensus, however, leaned toward caution, because the attack had shown clearly that humans were ready to defend themselves with remarkable skill and efficiency. Even the smallest Empire outposts in human sectors were instructed to observe quietly, avoiding unnecessary confrontations. The Empire realized that humans had not only technological superiority, but also a tactical mindset that combined adaptability, precision, and discipline. A single fleet of humans could counter multiple conventional forces simultaneously, and the Empire's previous strategies were no longer adequate. By the end of the incident, it was evident that humans had sent a clear message without firing an unnecessary shot. They were ready, prepared, and not easily intimidated. The Empire now faced a reality it could not ignore. Humanity was capable of defending itself against the most advanced forces, and any attempt to control or underestimate them could result in catastrophic failure. The probe attack meant to intimidate had instead revealed the full scope of humans' power, leaving the Empire with both awe and a deep sense of caution. Empire leaders received high-resolution satellite footage showing human shipyards operating at a scale that seemed almost impossible. Entire planets appeared to be mobilized, with massive construction zones stretching across continents and orbital platforms towering above the atmosphere. Energy beams lifted enormous ship sections into place, and robotic assembly lines moved with a speed and precision that defied belief. Observers could see humans working calmly alongside machines, adjusting, monitoring, and coordinating as if every action had been planned for centuries. The footage revealed ship types beyond the imagination of Empire strategists, from colossal interstellar carriers capable of holding thousands of smaller ships to nimble, heavily armed strike vessels designed for speed and tactical advantage. Each design showed careful thought for multiple scenarios, allowing the fleet to operate independently or as a coordinated force across vast distances. Empire analysts struggled to categorize the ships using conventional classifications because humans had redefined what it meant to build in space. Military councils convened immediately, reviewing the footage frame by frame. They noted the modular design of human ships, which allowed weapons, engines, and shields to be upgraded or replaced quickly. Entire fleets could be constructed, repaired, and redeployed faster than the Empire's planners thought possible. The implications were staggering. Humans could not only challenge existing fleets, but they could also overwhelm them simply through speed, adaptability, and sheer numbers. Scientists examined the energy systems powering the shipyards and vessels, discovering technologies that combined efficiency, durability, and output in ways the Empire had never seen. The human methods allowed continuous operation without fatigue or breakdown, and materials seemed to be synthesized and transported at rates previously considered impossible. Even when estimating worst-case scenarios, Empire experts could not fully comprehend the scale and speed of production. Diplomats and strategists alike grew uneasy as more footage arrived, showing humans conducting coordinated maneuvers, training crews, and testing new vessels simultaneously. It was not just the size of the fleet that was impressive. It was the intelligence behind every decision, every calculation, every movement. Humans demonstrated the ability to anticipate threats, adapt defenses, and optimize offensive strategies in real time, making even a partial deployment a formidable challenge. Observers also noted the humans' resource management, which was almost surgical in its precision. Entire planets were harnessed for energy, materials, and workforce without apparent strain. Supply chains operated seamlessly, and there was little waste. Unlike the Empire's sprawling bureaucratic systems, human operations appeared lean, fast, and resilient, capable of sustaining long-term production under pressure. The Empire's top commanders began reconsidering their previous assumptions. Previously, they had believed humans could be intimidated, delayed, or contained. But the footage made it clear that no conventional approach would suffice. Every new clip emphasized the humans' combination of technological mastery, strategic thinking, and operational efficiency. They were not just building ships. They were building the foundation of a civilization ready to project power across the galaxy. Political leaders debated whether to approach humans diplomatically or maintain surveillance. The fear was palpable. A misstep could provoke the very power they sought to control. Meanwhile, scientists warned that the humans' rate of progress meant any delay could allow them to surpass the Empire's fleets entirely. The footage had created a sense of urgency that few had felt in centuries, forcing the Empire to act carefully but decisively. As reports circulated among the military, a quiet panic began to spread. Analysts calculated the possible capabilities of human fleets based on observed construction rates, and the numbers were staggering. Entire sectors could be defended or threatened by humans with minimal effort. The Empire realized that underestimating humanity was no longer an option, because these ships represented not just strength, but flexibility, resilience, and unprecedented innovation. By the time the last frames of the latest footage were studied, the Empire faced an undeniable truth. Humans were no longer a minor species on the galactic map. They were rapidly becoming a dominant force. Their combination of size, speed, and intelligence suggested that any future engagement would be fought on human terms. The revelation forced the Empire to rethink centuries of strategy, recognizing that the rise of humanity was no longer a rumor or possibility. It was already happening. Even those who had doubted the initial reports could not deny what they saw. The scale, efficiency, and intelligence displayed in the footage confirmed that humans were capable of reshaping galactic politics, economics, and military power. The Empire's confidence had been shaken, replaced by a mix of respect, fear, and the urgent need to understand and respond to a force that had arrived almost silently, but with unstoppable momentum. Humans had proven that they were no longer merely participants. They were a new standard of power in the galaxy. The Empire's leaders quickly realized that their previous aggressive plans toward humans had become obsolete. What once seemed like a minor, controllable civilization was now an emerging power that could not be ignored. Military strategists recommended caution, arguing that any rash action might provoke humans and unleash consequences the Empire could not handle. Diplomats, on the other hand, suggested careful observation and tentative contact. But both sides agreed that old assumptions about human inferiority no longer applied. Strategists gathered in secure chambers, poring over the latest intelligence. Every report, every image, every calculation reinforced the same truth. Humans were advanced, adaptable, and unpredictable. The Empire's conventional methods of intimidation or coercion would be useless. Their fleets could be deployed against humans, yet humans would respond with precision and speed that the Empire could not match. Even minor mistakes could lead to catastrophic losses. Discussions moved quickly from theoretical strategy to practical planning. Officers debated whether to form alliances, monitor humans secretly, or attempt subtle sabotage. Yet no proposal was simple, because humans had demonstrated the ability to adapt to almost any scenario. Their technologies and tactics were evolving faster than the Empire could predict, and their shipbuilding capabilities meant that any delay could allow humans to gain an insurmountable advantage. Political leaders struggled with the implications, recognizing that humans were not just another species, they were a force capable of redefining galactic balance. Fear replaced the arrogance that had guided the Empire for centuries, as commanders realized that humans' combination of strategy, engineering, and adaptability left very few vulnerabilities. Every council session seemed to highlight a single growing concern: underestimating humans could be fatal. Even routine intelligence missions were reassessed. Previously low-priority sectors were now monitored continuously, and every scout or probe was tasked with gathering detailed data. Analysts worked around the clock to understand human capabilities, studying ship designs, resource management, and training protocols. Yet despite these efforts, humans remained partially unpredictable, capable of surprising even the most experienced observers, which added to the Empire's unease. In private briefings, military advisors warned that traditional offensive operations would likely fail. suggesting instead a strategy of observation, diplomacy, and cautious engagement. They emphasized that humans responded effectively to threats, but were also capable of restraint, which meant the empire had to tread carefully, striking the right balance between caution and preparation. Every advisor agreed that patience and understanding were now more important than force. Meanwhile, scientists and engineers provided detailed assessments of human technology, highlighting the speed of construction, efficiency of logistics, and flexibility of modular ships. These reports emphasized that humans could quickly replace losses, adapt designs, and even innovate under pressure, making the challenge of containing them even more daunting. Empire strategists recognized that any attempt to control humans without careful planning could backfire dramatically. Diplomats worked to create strategies for tentative engagement, exploring options to communicate, trade, or share knowledge without provoking hostility. They noted that humans were pragmatic and intelligent, likely to respond rationally to reasoned approaches rather than threats. The Empire's hope lay in understanding humans, predicting their moves, and engaging on terms that respected their capabilities, because confrontation without preparation could be disastrous. Throughout the councils, a sense of urgency prevailed. Leaders acknowledged that humans were not merely building ships. They were building influence, infrastructure, and networks that would allow them to act across the galaxy with speed and precision. The Empire realized that containment was no longer a realistic goal, and any delay in diplomacy or observation risked letting humans gain overwhelming advantage. By the end of the planning sessions, the Empire had shifted its entire approach, from arrogance and aggression to caution, observation, and strategic diplomacy. Every department was instructed to reassess policies and plans in light of humans' capabilities. Old strategies based on fear and dominance were abandoned, replaced by methods designed to adapt to an unpredictable and powerful new player. The Empire's leaders finally accepted a sobering reality. Humanity was no longer a minor concern. They were a rising power that demanded respect, careful study, and measured response. Their rapid technological growth and strategic foresight meant that they could not be ignored, provoked recklessly, or underestimated. The galaxy's future would now be shaped not only by the old empires, but by humans, whose emergence had forced centuries of established plans to be rewritten. Every council member understood that a new era had begun, and the empire's survival depended on recognizing humanity as a serious, capable, and transformative force. They had to adapt, learn, and plan carefully, because the rise of humans was not a threat in the distant future. It was happening now, and the Empire's next moves would determine whether they could coexist with this extraordinary civilization or be left behind in a galaxy being reshaped by human ingenuity. Humans continued their work quietly, but with extraordinary efficiency, expanding their fleets, building new shipyards, and establishing trade and communication networks across multiple star systems. Every new vessel added to their growing presence, and every expansion demonstrated their ability to operate on a scale no other species had achieved. Yet humans maintained a sense of calm purpose, never rushing recklessly, always calculating their moves carefully. Empire observers watched with a mixture of awe and fear as human fleets became more sophisticated. Each ship was part of a larger system designed for flexibility, rapid deployment, and strategic advantage. Humans did not simply build weapons. They created tools for exploration, defense, and influence, capable of adapting to any situation. Their growth was deliberate, controlled, and remarkably resilient, making it clear that they were preparing not just for survival, but for a lasting presence in the galaxy. Trade networks expanded alongside military capabilities, showing that humans valued both strength and diplomacy. Colonies communicated efficiently, resources were managed intelligently, and alliances were built without coercion. Even as they demonstrated their power, humans avoided unnecessary conflict, preferring to establish influence through capability and example rather than force. This approach unsettled the Empire, which had always relied on intimidation and dominance to maintain control. The Empire, which had once underestimated humans, now treated them with cautious respect. High-level meetings debated how to interact with a species capable of challenging centuries-old hierarchies. The human's ability to combine innovation, strategy, and practical action created a level of unpredictability that required careful observation. Every decision the Empire made had to consider potential human responses, because even small miscalculations could have enormous consequences. Humans' influence grew not only through fleets, but through the example of their efficiency and intelligence. Other species began to take notice, seeing humanity as a model of innovation and adaptability. Trade, diplomacy, and technology exchanges spread human influence far beyond the original home systems. The Empire realized that they could not simply crush or contain humans. Their presence was reshaping the galaxy in subtle but undeniable ways. Military planners continued to study human strategies, trying to anticipate their next moves. Every encounter and observation revealed that humans combined logic, creativity, and adaptability in ways the Empire had never seen. Their fleets could respond to threats, explore new systems, or project power simultaneously, making humans a species that was as unpredictable as it was capable. Strategists admitted that humans had rewritten the rules of engagement in space, forcing every empire to reconsider its assumptions about power, strength, and influence. Diplomats engaged carefully, seeking ways to interact with humans without provoking hostility. They discovered that humans valued reason, fairness, and foresight, responding better to rational proposals than to threats or coercion. The Empire's previous reliance on intimidation was ineffective, and cooperation required respect, intelligence, and patience. Every interaction reinforced the notion that humans were not only powerful, but also wise enough to wield that power responsibly. Humans also demonstrated remarkable speed in innovation, adapting technology, tactics, and strategy to meet new challenges almost as quickly as they arose. Even in regions far from their home systems, humans maintained control and order, showing their ability to project power efficiently over vast distances. Their fleet designs allowed rapid repair, redeployment, and strategic flexibility, making them capable of responding to multiple situations at once. As humans expanded peacefully, the Empire recognized a fundamental shift in galactic balance. They were no longer the unquestioned rulers of space. Humans had emerged as equals, sometimes rivals, sometimes partners, but always a force that could not be ignored. Their presence changed the dynamics of politics, trade, and military planning across the galaxy, demonstrating that strength combined with intelligence and foresight could reshape civilizations. The rise of humans sent a clear message to every species. The galaxy was entering a new era, one where innovation, adaptability, and calculated power could redefine dominance. Humans had shown that progress did not require aggression or conquest alone, but vision, strategy, and capability. Their fleets, technology, and organization represented a model of what a civilization could achieve when it combined purpose with ingenuity. By the time the Empire fully understood the scope of human expansion, it was too late to ignore them. Humans had become a dominant presence, respected and feared, capable of shaping the future of interstellar politics and power. The galaxy had changed, and the old empires had to adapt or risk irrelevance. Humanity had emerged not only as a builder of ships, but as a new standard of power, a species whose influence would be felt for generations. Even in quiet sectors far from human activity, whispers of their capabilities inspired caution and respect. The Empire had no choice but to recognize that humans were here to stay, growing stronger, wiser, and more influential with every passing day. What had begun as rumors had become reality, and the galaxy now faced a civilization that combined ambition, intelligence, and discipline in ways that no one could challenge easily. Humans were not merely participants, they were shapers of the future, and their emergence marked the start of a new era in galactic history.